you know, you're going to see a lot of people here that may not fit what you think in the profile of cannabis, but what you're seeing tonight is the new face of cannabis. This is what it looks like, right? So talk to us a little bit about why you decided to get involved in hemp and cannabis and in this whole industry.
Well, thanks. I actually started via my firm. I'm a partner at Burton Trent Public Affairs. We're a traditional lobbying firm based in Trenton. And a couple of years ago, the partners went with the state legislators out west, and it was one of their educational missions to find out what legal cannabis was all about. When we came back, we sat in a room and we said, look, we think that this is going to be something big in New Jersey, and we need to decide. We're either all in or we don't do this at all. And as partners, we sat back and we did that because we're all parents, we're all active in our communities, and we wanted to make sure that if we did this, that we did it for the right reasons. So we went home for the weekend, we came back, and me personally, I am not an advocate for using the product illicitly. However, I am in it because I want it done right. I want it done right because I am a parent. I want it done right because I am pro-business. I want to see a sustainable and responsible industry developed behind the product. So this is why I'm in it. And I went so far as to sit down with my pastor. I sat with the pastor of my church and I said, hey, look, with InstaChat and Snapgram, you know, you're bound to see me at some point. And, you know, so I want to make sure that you're okay with it. And when I told him that I was in it because I want it done right, he approved. So here we are. And now I'm a policy advisor for the Canna Business Association, which is the state's first and largest trade organization built around the cannabis industry. And I'm its policy advisor.
Well, you know, we meet all kinds of people from all different facets of business at our meetings, right? Whether they be accountants, law firms, everybody's getting in, right? Or wanting to get in. But we all seem to be waiting on this new legislation. So what's the latest? And really, it does change day by day. So what's the latest out of Trenton?
Okay, so if you've been following the saga, look, if it's Trenton, it's drama. So if you've been following, there's essentially a package of 3 bills that are out there. There's a medical bill, a medical expansion bill. There's a bill that deals with the adult use industry. And then there's a 3rd bill that deals with expungement of cannabis records. So the governor has asked the legislature to consider the 3 bills as a single package. What has happened over the last few weeks, actually months, has been that there's been concern over the expungement bill, there's been concern over the adult use bill, there's been threats over the medical expansion bill, and given our legislature and just the legislative process, it's constantly evolving. And in some cases, you could say it's constantly devolving. But essentially, we've got the 3 bills, we've got compromise language, and last month, the bills were up as a package to be voted on, and the legislative leadership pulled the bills off the board for voting. And they did so because they didn't think they had the votes to get the bill through. So at this point, advocacy agencies are asking everyone, whether you're pro-business, pro-cannabis, medical, adult use, this is the time now to call your legislature. This is the time to call your representatives because they surely have heard from the opponents. Now it's the time for the proponents to call and say, I need my medicine. I have a business. I have reasons why this should pass. And now's the time to get that done.
Yeah, and it hasn't been, in my recollection, since the cell phone that we've seen an entirely new industry being born here. And the fact of the matter is, right, they say the best bills are those where nobody's happy, right?
Well, you know, the good thing about doing this as a legislative process is you pass legislation, you can always go back and change it. You get it done, and then you go back and you fix it. You watch what happens, you tweak it along the way. That's why we're allowed to amend bills. So that's the process.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. So give us a sense as we wrap this up. What does legalization look like here in New Jersey when it comes?
So from the business standpoint, and you mentioned this, at what other time in our history have we seen a brand new industry take off? This is a brand new industry. So not only are we talking about opportunities within the industry as growers, cultivators, processors, dispensary owners, but as I like to always promote, the ancillary businesses, whether you're in security, janitorial services, communications, all of these businesses will then get to take off once you get a legalization bill up and running, because it goes way beyond just the medical expansion. You will see, I think, probably in the first time in our history, the fact that we are dealing with very real social justice issues. When you look at how the plant was criminalized to begin with, it was not criminalized for public safety reasons, it was criminalized for racist reasons. When you look at who said what the plant was, these were the folks that said, cannabis is bad, reefer is bad in the 1930s because it makes black men think that they're as good as white men. It makes white women chase black men. It is the drug of jazz musicians, Negroes, and people of color. This was the agency that was the predecessor to today's DEA. And the director of that agency said these things. So the plant was criminalized. It should have never been criminalized to begin with. And even I understand that. So here is an opportunity to change what over the last 80, 90 years has been a flaw in our legal system. And I'll leave you with this. And this is just the gospel according to Ed Deveaux. If you have a legislator who's saying that they're going to vote no, essentially you have someone who is willing to perpetuate the same policies that were adopted and enforced by the same minds that criminalized interracial marriage. If you have a legislator who is saying no, and I'm not saying that they're racist, and I'm not saying that they're homophobic, but a no vote perpetuates the same policies that were adopted and enforced by the same minds that criminalized gays being gay, that put homosexuality on the list of mental illnesses. This is the same group. This is the same group that created the original statutes that segregated education and the workplace. A no vote, in my opinion, is just perpetuating that policy, that bad policy, and it takes away from America being what you see here today. And that's my pitch.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Thank you, Ed.